Okay, outstanding. I had a few students who asked a wonderful question about these brackets. Now, firstly, let me say this. If you touch your mouse beside the bracket, you notice that they kind of light up a little bit. See how they kind of highlight each other? That's because these brackets really need each other to kind of bound and group statements together that are supposed to work together as a group. Now, the if the else obviously work together, so they sort of say, okay, if the industry is in the telecom industry, if the industry of the stock is in the telecom industry, then do this. Otherwise, if it's not in the telecom industry, then do this stuff right here. Clearly, we want to separate this series of outcomes from this series of outcomes. So brackets are very helpful in that regard. This itself is main, and this is grouped together. And stock itself, this is the constructor. And let's try to kind of marry these statements together. There's no need to put too much space there. You can just block them together. You realize that this constructor needs these brackets here to function, and that these brackets separate this constructor function from the rest of the instructions that are given inside of the class. Now, here's another good one. I find that students benefit from putting brackets right after these lines here. And there's a very popular programming practice. Here, let's just get this out of the way. It's a very popular programming practice, and I think the cool kids make the brackets go like this. And I find that that is not anywhere near as legible and easy to debug as when you make a bracket go like this. And that's just a very old school way of programming that I think makes for much faster programming, because it enables you to work a bit faster. So just a few hints. Keep your comments out of the way as if they obey a certain margin. They're kind of in the margins. Make them on a line-by-line basis, and then put your brackets directly under, function declarations like this. And I'll save that. And then if-else. So very legible code works faster, and then people generally think the solution is simpler. One of the strange contributions of computer science is that we're not really a science. We're a technology. We're more of a craft. But one of the things that we can teach other disciplines is the simplicity of solution. Is the small footprint which a solution creates a more effective and more error-free solution. So you should be proud of your results. You should be removing, comments as you see fit. And you should also be putting brackets in places so that it just becomes more legible. So we avoid this in favor of this. And you can see how there's a bit of a, we could even move this over a little bit. We could move that to the right, and we could move that down a little bit. And that would kind of illustrate that we want for the solution to follow a little bit of a logical progression. That would be fine too. That would be very interesting. So I think most of your bosses would prefer to see this. I think the programmer, his or herself, needs to figure out the program, figure out a problem. And in the process of doing so, the programmer needs to understand what he or she has done. So in many ways, you're explaining your own code to yourself to a certain extent. So that's something to think about too.